This week, we've got the most anticipated update for Path of Exile 2, World of Warcraft getting all cozy, a project that turns Valheim into a completely new experience, and much more. If Path of Exile 2's updates keep scaling up the way they have been, we will soon be sitting through blockbuster-length announcement trailers for sure. But this one deserves every minute of it, because PoE's patch 0.4.0 is wild. Literally. With a title like The Last of the Druids, expectations are already high, but let's break it down a little. First of all, we got the new Druid class, which had Nox a little confused with, don't we have that one already? Until he saw the wyvern and went all, oh right, that was Diablo 4. He may be excused at this point, they really look a little similar. But then again, yes, you heard right, wyvern. You can literally transform into a tiny dragon. Of course, we also got a bear and a wolf form, but that's so old school, am I right? The Druid will be the first hybrid scaling class, which means that both strength and int equipment will be useful. But the transformations are just the beginning, as the Druid also has a magical human side that gets even further enhanced with the two ascendancies, Shaman and Oracle. While the Shaman harnesses elemental chaos with meteors, lightning storms and ice spells, the Oracle peeks into the future for double damage strikes or massive bursts by pre-planning skills. Either way, the playstyles sound very interesting to say the least. A perfect opportunity to play through the new act that has been added in one of the last updates. There will also be a new endgame mode called Fate of the Vaal. In this mode, you puzzle together your own little temple from tiny pieces and then fight your way through whatever twisted maze you created. This sounds like fun, but that's still not all. The update also brings huge balance changes to all existing ascendancies. Over 90 skills have been balanced and a whopping 250 new passives have been added to the passive skill tree, because that one was clearly not huge enough already. But they have also been busy behind the scenes and optimized the performance. Expect around 25% more FPS, especially when playing on consoles. The update will go live next week, with a special surprise that we will announce later in this episode, so stay tuned. Remember the garrison in World of Warcraft 1 or 2 expansions ago? Huh? What do you mean there was 5 expansions and more than 11 years ago? Oh, anyway. Well, then it's about time that we got a new retreat to kick back and relax. And it really is time, because player housing in World of Warcraft is finally a thing, surprisingly completely without weekly chores and reputation grind. Starting on December 2nd, players who pre-ordered Midnight get early access, with everyone else following soon after. But don't worry, this is nothing like the housing system in Final Fantasy XIV, where you had to be lucky to get a tiny spot at the end of the town for 90% of your monthly income. No, houses are cheap, have no upkeep costs, no lotteries to acquire them, and they also won't vanish if your sub runs out. Your home sits in a neighborhood with around 50 to 55 plots. You can pick a quiet hermit corner, a tiny corner street for your crew, or settle yourself in the middle of the loudest cluster for maximum socializing. Guild neighborhoods even scale infinitely, while charter neighborhoods are still in the works but will allow for private housing in the future. Customization is where things get creative. There is a basic mode for normal humans and an advanced mode for the interior designers among us. Resize, rotate, flip, dye, stack, hide. Whatever it takes to turn your house into a cozy cottage or a creepy dungeon. Interiors ignore exterior limits, so it's just like living in Hermione's infinite handbag, but with windows. There will be over 600 decor pieces from all expansions that can be acquired through professions, quests, achievements, and more. And if you're feeling extra lazy, you can even import your friend's entire layout with just one click. Blizzard also already teased monthly neighborhood endeavors, which are random events and quests for the whole neighborhood to complete, and future co-ownership for building your dream home together. We think that this is a great feature that adds a whole new layer of social interaction to the game. The only concern is that with all the heroes kicking back and enjoying themselves in their homes, who is going to save Azeroth in the next expansion? When we heard Souls-like MMORPG, we had plenty of expectations, but a Minecraft-like look was definitely not one of them. Darkcraft is the newly announced title from Take Top Entertainment, and it bumps our counter for blocky RPGs in recent months up to 3. Not a huge number, but you gotta keep track. As expected from anything Souls-inspired, this one aims for dark and gritty rather than colorful, with eerie castles, forests, and temples. But world building is where things get even more interesting. Enemies follow their own routines, events happen at random, ambushes aren't scripted, and other players might be after you in more ways than you would like. For starters, the game features full loot PvP similar to Albion. If you die, your equipment is gone, and your corpse becomes a warning sign for those who come after. But the real curveball is Take Top's Game Master system. Have you ever wondered what developers do once they're done patching? Here, they log in as NPCs, playing literal world bosses, triggering surprise events, and other random shenanigans. So if you thought Dark Souls isn't fair, prepare for Darkcraft. If you claim a boss suddenly healed to full while laughing at you, people might actually believe you this time. It will be interesting to see how this all works together, especially considering the Souls-like combat, with slow, deliberate strikes, little stamina, and even fewer ways to recover from mistakes. Especially in an MMO where combat always loses a little bit of its edge when there are just hundreds of people slicing away. Because yes, there are also groups and guilds, so you won't have to face everything alone. A thing that kept us wondering, however, is the monetization aspect, as it is planned as a free-to-play title without pay-to-win, which is always a cautionary tale in this genre. But we will probably know further details about that when Darkcraft gets closer to its release sometime in 2026. We usually don't cover mods here, but this one has long surpassed anything that even comes close to a mod. Dawngarde is a total conversion mod pack for Valheim, turning this open-world survival game into a full-fledged RPG adventure. Not to be confused with Skyrim's Dawngarde, though with how much content this mod packs in, you would be forgiven for double-checking you didn't accidentally install an Elder Scrolls expansion. Behind this ambitious project is a total of 1 developer, aside from some collabs, who invested over 1,000 hours of spare time over the span of 2 years. This turned Valheim's usual afterlife setting into an alternate timeline. Civilization actually exists here, trying to survive, while an ancient cosmic horror threatens their existence. Which means you even have story, with quests, voice acting, cutscenes, and everything an RPG heart desires. There are 12 unique hero classes with skills and professions to choose from. A huge arsenal of new items, armors, and even mounts, ground and flying, to explore the huge handcrafted world map. There will be epic encounters with hundreds of new monsters, custom bosses, dungeons, and even raids. The enemy AI has been overhauled, and there is a progression system with XP-based leveling, escalating gear quality and difficulty. And to top it all off, everything has been built with co-op in mind. The story scales seamlessly with the number of players, while solo players can recruit NPCs as companions. Same goes for dungeons and raids. You can even flex with your gold teardrops in PvP, as the endgame offers arenas and battlegrounds too, both with leaderboards and exclusive rewards. So if this hasn't ambitious written all over it, we don't know what does. Finally, it will also be completely free when it launches early 2026. Do you also have that one decoration that your cat keeps swiping off the table as soon as you place it back up? If you don't, but still crave that particular feeling, we have the perfect solution. Hordeguard, Winds of the North, takes the familiar tower defense formula and gives it a Viking twist. You play as a lone hero trying to keep a small settlement alive, while hordes of enemies try to do the exact opposite. So you are constantly scavenging for resources, raising walls and buildings, and try to recruit a small warband before the next wave arrives. Your character can fight as well, earn XP and get upgrade cards in a survivors-like style. Picking whether you lean into warrior, builder or defender shapes how each run unfolds. But the best part? You are not alone. Local split-screen co-op is a core feature, letting one player roam for resources while the other keeps defenses intact. Or you can both kick back with a mug of mead and watch your settlement get overrun. Whatever suits your fancy. There aren't many co-op tower defense games out there these days, so this feels like a very welcome addition. Final Fantasy XIV is getting a lot darker. Oh wait, a lot more cheerful. Never mind. What I meant to say is, patch 7.4 goes live on December 16th and brings so much content you'll be busy for the rest of the year and beyond. With The Mist, we're getting a new main story quest, plus a new raid, dungeons and trials. If you are more into cosmic exploration, there is a new planet, Oasis, for all the crafters and gatherers out there. And if you're neither of those, we've also got a huge glamour overhaul that casually drops almost all level restrictions. Perfect for every fashion enthusiast. There are a lot of other changes too. PvP updates, gold saucer tweaks, quality of life improvements, and guess who's back? That's right, Hildebrand with another hilarious side story. I need to get Nox to play again, ASAP. Warhammer 40k Darktide is celebrating its 3-year anniversary, which means you get to celebrate too. The free update No Man's Land just went live, bringing a permanent 3-mission story campaign and a brand new operation. For longtime players craving even more, there's also a new DLC introducing the Hive Scum class. Never played Darktide before? Don't worry, we've got something for you later in this video, so stay tuned. After getting Belial a few seasons ago, the next season brings Asmodan back into Diablo 4. If they keep up their pace, we will have a complete demonic reunion by the end of 2666. Season 11, Divine Intervention, again follows a short story and brings new twists to the game. This time around, it's all about tempering and upgrading your gear while giving it a final touch with the newly added Sanctification mechanic. This will either add a bonus legendary power, add, replace or upgrade an affix, or increase the raw quality of the item. However, once sanctified, the item becomes fully locked and cannot be altered any further, so decide wisely. Belrite gets its first major content update with Maiden Voyage, introducing the Halmar Isles, a brand new map roughly a quarter the size of the game's existing world. It also brings new story quests, equipment, animals, and buildings, plus fresh loyalty, faction, and trade systems, alongside a pile of quality of life upgrades. And if you're curious to jump in, the game is currently on sale on Steam. Sea of Thieves has officially come of age with Season 18. The adventure unfolds across 3 acts, with the first one dropping next week. This update introduces the Eternal Guard, a new enemy type that drops special keys, granting access to sanctuaries of the banished. Buried treasure vaults packed to the ceiling with cursed loot. But the trading companies aren't too bothered by a curse or two, so happy plundering. And speaking of games old enough to order a drink, Guild Wars has been around for over 19 years. Well, old enough in most places. Sorry, Japan and USA. So, if you have been craving some classic nostalgia, now is the perfect time. Guild Wars Reforged just launched to very positive reception, bringing visual and audio upgrades to the classic. It also bundles all 3 campaigns for hundreds of hours of content, all for $20 with no subscription. So we played Destiny 2 way back, and after they cut out 2/3 of the story, it was a confusing experience to say the least. Since then, and after more than 8 years after launch, Bungie decided it was time for a new take on the game's monetization model. So every year they will now release 2 DLCs for roughly $40 instead of their previous free-to-play strategy. Long story short, the first DLC in July didn't exactly receive much praise, and the newly launched Renegades DLC hasn't been met with open arms either. But hey, if you're a die-hard fan, there's certainly more story and gameplay content to dive into now. This weekend, you can play Warhammer 40k Dark Tide for free on Steam, including the newly added No Man's Land update that we talked about before. And if you're ready to unleash your inner wyvern or bear, no judgment here, get hyped for an epic free weekend for Path of Exile 2 next week, running December 12th to 15 across Steam and consoles. We will definitely be hopping back in for this promising update. But that's it for this one. We hope you feel informed. If you do, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more co-op content. Until then, we wish you tons of fun with your favorite wife, or wine, whatever it is, and we'll see you again in the next one.